What if I told you my husband was planning to embarrass me in front of our entire family at our anniversary party? Turns out his whole plan this whole time was just to use me for my father's money so he can start his own business and just not have any investment in it himself. Well, the joke's on him because my father being the genius, he has actually put the majority share of the business in my name. Even though my husband was the one who started it, it doesn't matter because he used my dad's money. Well, that's a secret he doesn't know. But I know another secret. And when he goes to confront me and my family at this party, I'm going to destroy him. Okay, so here's the question. Am I the a-hole for thinking my husband and best friend are cooking something up under my nose? And I'm not talking barbecue. Picture this. You've spent a decade playing the role of the perfect trophy wife, the kind that smiles at the charity events and well clings glasses and well stands by her hubby, like some kind of walking, talking endorsement deal. From the outside, we're just a couple, a glamorous life, a thriving business, a picture-perfect everything. James, my dear husband, the golden boy of the corporate world, the CEO everybody adores and me. Oh, just the doting wife, the arm candy, the woman who keeps everything together behind the scenes. Except here's the fun little plot twist. No one knows. I own this empire. Yep, you read it right. I don't just support James. I own the majority stake in his Oho's successful company. Not that he nor anyone else ever acknowledges it. I mean, I never flaunted it. Never threw it in anyone's face because why? I loved them. We were a team. The business, this life was built together, or so I thought. For the first few years, our marriage was fine. Not the swoon-worthy romance you see in a movie, but we got along. No fireworks, but no raging infernos either. We were cordial and we worked well together. And hey, not every marriage needs to be a Nicholas Sparks novel. I was fine with that until things started changing. Until she started creeping in. Mia, my childhood best friend, the daughter of my late father's accountant, Uncle John. You can say Mia and I spent our childhood most of the time together. And with Uncle John passing away early, cardiac arrest, Mia was taken care of by my father since her mother was a homemaker. But over time, Mia starts behaving as a queen bee for like no reason. You know how some women get that pick-me label slapped on them for the way they insert themselves into the situation? Well, yeah. Mia makes them look like amateurs. She's been around forever, practically glued to my side, which meant I never saw her for what she really was. But now that I reflect on those times, I remember how, whenever I used to attract someone towards me even a bit, be it about grades, activities, or even guys, Mia used to overshadow me with her beauty. But I never used to feel bad. I was a fool to let it slide then. I trusted her. But trust is funny. It can be shattered in the most unexpected ways. You want to know the worst part? It's not like I wasn't warned. For as long as I can remember, people used to look at Mia and me together and say, Mia, the beauty and you're the brains. Well, every darn time. And back then, I would laugh it off, because whatever, right? Who cares? I don't mind being the smart one. I was proud of that. But now it feels like beauty has overtaken brains. And I was the fool who didn't see it coming. Because James, he had always had a way of complimenting Mia's look. Subtle and direct. Never anything outside disrespectful, but enough for me to notice. Mia always looks so effortlessly stunning, he'd say in passing. She has that natural charm. Meanwhile, whenever I give him ideas that actually make him money, ideas he used in business, not a word, no credit, no appreciation, just quiet implementation. Like I was nothing more than a background consultant who happened to share his bed. And then, as if fate decided to slap me in the face with my own stupidity, Mia moved in right next door. 5 years into my marriage, and suddenly my best friend, my supposed ride or die, was my neighbor. And that's when things really started shifting. At first, it was harmless. Just normal friendly neighbor stuff. Oh, I picked up an extra coffee for you. Let's go on a morning walk. You know, I'm always here if you need something. Then it crept into household things. Let me help you organize your kitchen. H, you're always so busy. Oh, you should try this new cleaning service. I can set it up for you. Ooh, let me watch the house and cook dinner for James while you're away. And now it's my husband. She embedded herself so deeply into my life that I don't even know how much control she's taken. And the worst part, James is more comfortable with her than he is with me. The way he laughs with her, the way he casually throws his arm around her shoulders, the way they exchange glances like they share some sort of inside joke I'm not a part of. It's gotten to the point where he behaves friendlier with Mia than he does with me. I replay moments in my head, trying to pinpoint when exactly things shifted. The subtle glances between them when they thought that I wasn't looking. The way James always defended her, always made excuses for why she was involved in decisions that she had no business being part of. The way Mia started acting like she belonged in our life more than I did. I can't even count the number of times I've walked into my room and felt like I interrupted something. Not necessarily romantic, but something, an inside joke, a private conversation, a shared understanding that did not include me. And I let it go every time because, well, what was I supposed to do? Accuse my husband of something I wasn't even sure of. Accuse my best friend of overstepping when she'd been in my life longer than he has. But I did something. I gingerly pointed out Mia carefully, gentle, even hesitant that maybe, just maybe, she was involving herself a little too much in my marriage. Nothing aggressive, nothing mean, just an observation. And guess what? She acted like I stabbed her in the heart. Suddenly, she went all distant, silent. Her usual bubbly presence evaporated overnight, and she stopped talking to me altogether. And then the plot thickened. Gee. After Mia stopped coming over, James was livid. He barely spoke to me, making it clear that I had somehow wronged her. I tried to brush it off, thinking he would get over it. But a week later, I found out something that made my blood boil. James offered Mia the role of his personal assistant. And of course, I visited James at work. As one of the major stakeholders, I had every right to be there, but every time I did, I saw something that made my stomach twist. Over the course of a month, I noticed it. Mia wasn't just playing the role of PA. She was acting like his wife right there in front of me. The way that she hovered around him, the way that she anticipated his needs before he even asked, the way they exchanged glances like I wasn't sitting right there. It wasn't just professionally efficient. It was familiarity, intimacy, and unspoken connection that I was very much excluded from. I don't know if I'm overthinking it or if my gut is finally catching up with reality, but I can't shake the feeling that I've been played in my own life. I've been sitting with this unease, questioning if I'm seeing ghost where well, there's none, or I've ignored the writing on the wall for far too long. Is this paranoia, or have I let myself be blindsided by people I trusted the most? I may have played the perfect wife for 10 years, but I'm not the fool they take me for. So guys, tell me, am I crazy, or is it time to burn this entire thing to the ground? Update number 1. Ever look in the mirror and realize you've been the biggest fool in the entire world? Well, that's me right now. Certified idiot. 4 weeks ago, I posted here feeling paranoid about my husband, James, and my so-called best friend, Mia. Y'all gave me every kind of response. Some told me to trust my gut. Some said that I was overthinking, and some straight up called it out for what it was, shady as hell. I appreciate every single comment, I really did. But in the back of my mind, I thought I was just spiraling, letting my suspicions run wild. I even convinced myself that maybe, just maybe, I was overreacting. I mean, James had been distant, sure, and Mia was a little too involved. For example, after James is home from the office, Mia would soon enough walk into the house with random documents, go into his study, and close the door, telling me that they're discussing work. Well, I'd been standing there watching like, hello. I'm the major shareholder in the company, so I deserve to be a part of the discussion if it's so important and can't be held up for the next day. But then again, I was just seeing things that were not there. I told myself to chill, to let it go, because about a week ago, I overheard James on the phone something about our anniversary party. He was planning something, a surprise maybe. Gosh, I actually smiled to myself thinking, wow, I really am a paranoid mess. My man is planning something sweet for me, and I'm over here acting like he's the villain in some soap opera. And that, my dear internet strangers, is why I feel like the biggest fool to ever walk this earth. The very next day, I stopped by our company on a whim. No real reason, just one of those, oh, I'm in the area. Let me drop by and say hey to the team kind of thing. And that's when I noticed it. The CFO of the company, David, was my close friend, and he subtly dropped his weariness about the strange transaction happening in the company. Funds. Funds were being moved around in ways that made no sense. Money disappearing into accounts that we didn't recognize. And oh, David assured me that he's working to get to the root. But since I hold the major shares, I need to be careful about signing any documents because things could not just happen without my authorization. Then I recall the times when Mia would drop by at home during working hours with files that would require my signature. I was thoroughly paranoid yet again. Then at home, the pieces started falling into place after I started keeping my senses alert. Yeah, late night phone calls, hushed voices, conversations that stopped the moment. I walked into the room and I wasn't naive. Not anymore. Because at this point, I knew James and Mia were cheating on me together. I started to dig. I went up into the financial records with David, and I looked through the emails, and I checked the account that James probably assumed I would never pay attention to. And what do I uncover? James and Mia were not just messing around behind my back. Oh no, that would be too basic for them. They were planning something much, much worse. But I needed to know how deep this scheme ran. And the perfect moment came when James told me he would be going on a business trip for 2 weeks. And guess who's going along? Yep, you got it. My bestie Mia. I don't care if they've been spending romantic time together on the facade of a business trip because that was not my headache anymore. I'd already made peace with the fact that my 10 years of marriage were just a sham. And it was over 5 years back when Mia moved into the house next door. It was me who never saw it coming. So now my only focus was to find the evidence that they were going to ruin my life to have their happily ever after. And David told me he was planning on conducting an audit, and that too in James's absence, so they could go on into depth. Now all I have to do is wait for the evidence, a legit one, to slam James and his side chick so hard that they get the message of what it costs to cross me. Stay tuned, guys, because things are about to get a bit dramatic. Update number 2. 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks since James and Mia returned from their little business trip. And let me tell you, the sheer nerve of these two is something straight out of a reality TV show. But without the fun drama you can turn off. No, this mess is my life. And I've been sitting on the sidelines bidding my time watching their delusion play out like I'm the fool in their grand scheme. Spoiler alert, I'm not. Let's rewind. In my last update, I mentioned how Mia had been subtly manipulating me into signing documents, papers that she sweet-talked me into thinking were harmless, just routine corporate nonsense. But it turns out those were not just any documents. No, those little legal landmines were designed to implicate me in some highly illegal financial scheme. James, oh so loving hubby, had been funneling company money into an offshore account, and I was meant to take the fall when it all blew up. But see, while they both were busy treating me like a naive idiot, they forgot one thing. I'm not the kind of woman you double-cross and get away. While James and Mia were off pretending to be on a business trip, translation, sipping cocktails on a tropical beach, I was busy playing detective with David, and when they returned, of the performance James put on, it was Oscar-worthy. He vaulted in with gifts dripping in charm and acting like some devout husband who had missed his darling wife. Perfumes, jewelry, luxury bags, the whole cliché. At first, I almost laughed. Did he think material things would make me forget the pit in my stomach? The way my instinct screamed at me that something was off. And then came the moment. Have you ever had one of those nights where your gut just tells you to do something? Well, one particular night, James was dead asleep, and his phone was right there taunting me. Normally, I don't snoop. I always believe that if you have to check your partner's phone, the trust is already gone. But this was not about trust. This was about confirming what I already knew in my bones. Also, James had a habit of recording his calls as he kept forgetting convos that he had with clients. And I hoped that he had some recorded calls with Mia too, so that I could have some concrete evidence against him. I took his hand, pressed his fingerprint to unlock the phone, and let me tell you, what I found was so much more than I imagined. Photos, voice notes, and text are all neatly placed like trophies of their little love affair. Romantic sunset dinner, stolen kisses, chats about how I was the only thing standing between them and their perfect future, and oh, the cherry on top, those thoughtful gifts. They were originally Mia's, and she had picked them for herself but decided she didn't want them anymore. And James, is his infinite wisdom, figured, hey, why waste them? Might as well give them to my wife. What a joke. I took screenshots, every message, every single picture, every recorded call that he had with Mia. I'm talking every bit of evidence I had that made it crystal clear. James and Mia had been playing me for a fool. But I wasn't just going to confront him. No, that would be too easy. I need to hit it where it hurts. I need him to feel the weight of his own stupidity. David handed me the audit report from the finance he did a week ago in James's absence. And boy, did he deliver. The report was worse than I expected. I mean it. James wasn't just moving money around. He was committing full-blown fraud, siphoning company funds into shell accounts, and he had the nerve to try to pin it on me. David reassured me that he was freezing the account and was deeply inspecting to get the fraudster out. I also handed him the documents Mia had made me sign so far, the documents I got my hands on after racking James's home office and his absence, and told David to nullify them. So, here we are 3 weeks later, and James thinks that he's about to have his big moment. So, see, he's been planning this grand anniversary party, and I now know was never about celebrating our marriage. No, it was about humiliation of me. His plan to make some dramatic announcement, blindside me in front of our family and friends, and then waltz off into the sunset with little old Mia thinking that I'd be too devastated to do anything about it. The sheer arrogance. What he doesn't know is that I've been playing along, smiling, acting clueless, letting him think that he still holds all the cards. I let him kiss my cheek and tell me he's planning something big for our anniversary. Oh, honey, if he only knew just how big it really was going to be. Tomorrow the party happens, and tomorrow James is going to learn exactly what happens when you try to turn me into a joke. The stage is set. The evidence is gathered. And when he stands up in front of everyone to make his little announcement, I'll be standing right there with my own. The affair exposed, the financial fraud documented. Oh, the betrayal laid out for the world to see. James and Mia have been painting this picture where they win, where they get everything they want handed to them, and I'm the one left shattered. But they forgot something important. I'm the daughter of my late father, the one who had a sharp business mind, and I inherited it from him. My father never lost, and neither will I. Update number 3. 1 week has passed. Hey, everybody. I know a whole week has passed, and I'm just now updating, but I'm here and I'm ready to deliver. So the so-called grand anniversary party, and finally the air feels lighter. No more fake smiles, no more role-playing the oblivious wife, and definitely no more watching my hubby parade around my so-called best friend. The past 10 years were a sham. A meticulously crafted illusion where I was nothing more than a decorative piece in James's perfect little empire. A convenient asset that he could flaunt until something shinier came along. But I wasn't going to be cast aside like some outdated accessory. If he thought that he could humiliate me, destroy me, and walk away hand in hand with Mia, he had another thing coming. The day of the anniversary party had been nothing short of an elaborate performance on my end. James had suddenly turned into the most doting husband, draping me in an unwarranted affection that rirade of insecurity. He gifted me a dress for the event, a pastel-colored Monroety that was so far from my style it almost was comical. As if that wasn't enough, he made sure to nudge me towards Mia, suggesting that she help me with my makeup since, in his words, I had no sense in those areas. Of course, I had no intention of letting them control the narrative. Instead of playing their game, I wore a dress of my own choosing, a stunning number that turned heads the moment I walked in. The makeup was flawless, done by an actual professional whom I had personally booked, one who was not on Mia's payroll. The moment I stepped into the venue, the media arranged to capture the evening live, and the atmosphere shifted. Mia, who had no doubt orchestrated an elaborate plan to make me look ridiculous, seemed as though she had swallowed a lemon. It seems like the brain has outshined the beauty tonight. Her eyes darted toward James, whose expression flickered with something unexpected. Genuine admiration as if seeing me for the first time, but any effect that I had on him meant nothing. I'd already moved far beyond wanting his approval. Mia, however, was not one to let a moment slip. She clung to James more possessively, as if she was the wife and it was their wedding anniversary, whispering something to snap him back to reality. She had positioned herself as the orchestrator of my downfall, and she wasn't about to let him forget that. The night progressed, as expected, with shallow well-wishers, forced conversations, and the looming anticipation of James's big move. When the time came to cut the cake, he made his move, his first one. Instead of offering me the first bite, he turns to Mia, an obvious ploy meant to embarrass me, and the crowd murmured. Our family whispered in disbelief. It was awkward laughter reaping through the guest, as I took matters into my own hands. I casually took a bite of my own cake that was meant to be offered to James, flashing a smile so unfazed and only added to the confusion. Instead of sympathy, I earned amused chuckles from friends and family, turning James's intended humiliation into nothing more than an awkward joke at his expense. And of course began the real show. James clinked his glass together, with his expression shifting to something grave as he called for everybody's attention. The room quieted, guests turning unexpectedly towards him, and his next words dropped like a bombshell. He was divorcing me. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and my mother immediately demanded an explanation. James, ever the performer, played his part well. He sighed, his voice laced with feigned sorrow before delivering his next revelation. He claimed to have discovered something horrific about me, something that would make everybody understand why he had no choice but to leave me. And then right on cue, he nodded to Mia. The projector that was displaying our wedding photos changed to carefully created documents, each bearing my signature, all pointing to one conclusion. I had been siphoning company funds for personal gain. James painted himself as the betrayed hubby, devastated by the realization that his wife had been stealing from the very business that he worked so hard to build after my late father invested in it. And of course, Mia was the hero of the story, the one who had uncovered my deceits and brought the truth to light. The venue felt silence. All eyes were on me. My mother turned her face, lined with worry, urging me to say something, but I remained still, letting the moment stretch, letting them think that they won. Then I reached into my clutch and placed a small voice recorder on the table. Without a word, I pressed play. James's voice filled the room first, one of his recorded calls with Mia, where he was detailing his plan, his arrogance dripping from every syllable, as he spoke about how it was to manipulate me. Mia's laughter followed, of course, with her little voice, a perfect mix of condescension and cruelty, as she boasted about how I had fallen right into their trap card. Then on the second voice recording, they discussed everything. How they forged my signature, how they planned to frame me, how James would walk away unscathed while I took the fall. There was one more recording of James bragging about his villa era that he bought with funds, by the way, he got from funneling. He bought a whole condo. And just when the weight of the words began to settle, James reached for the recorder to shut it off until a hand stopped him. David. David shoved James away and slammed the next piece of evidence right on that very projector where they both were framing me. The text pictures of their romantic business trip. Everything played on the screen like a bad movie. It almost uncovered everything. The documents highlighted well. It revealed James's real fraudulent dealings, offshore accounts, and the missing company funds, all leading back to him and Mia. The room erupted in absolute chaos. Guests whispered amongst themselves, the weight of the truth settling in as James and Mia stood frozen. Their smug little confidence crumbled in real time. James was sputtering, denying everything when the media people in the venue attacked him with a barrage of questions. But the evidence is what they call undeniable. I stood tall, relishing the poetic nature of the moment. As a major shareholder, I had every right to act on what had been uncovered. Effective immediately, I announced James is fired. But that's not it. Charges were going to be filed for embezzlement, corporate fraud, defamation, and of course, conspiracy. There's no escape from this. They've tried to ruin me, but they've only done a big old hole in the ground. I call it a grave for Theorel. But the moment the security arrived, I arranged in advance step forward. James lashed out. He grabbed the recorder, hurled it at me, but thanks to David for his quick baseball reflexes, pulled me away. Everybody was horrified at the scene. It was bad. And I was, too. I never saw this coming. Meanwhile, Mia, ever the survivor, tried to slink away unnoticed, but she never made it past the doors before being stopped. I didn't need to raise my voice, didn't need to plea or cry. I simply watched as they were escorted out, my heels clicking against the polished floor as I walked to James and blew him a kiss, saying, "Happy anniversary, babe." Final updates. Let me tell you, this one's a good one. You know that feeling when you clean out a messy closet that's been stressing you out for years? That's me right now. Except instead of old clothes, I tossed out a husband and a backstabbing best friend. And darn, it feels good. 3 weeks since I served platter, I have been busy not wallowing, not crying, just making sure James and Mia got exactly what they deserved. The divorce is in process, and I'm ensuring James is completely cut off from everything we've ever shared. No claims, no ties. And once the proceedings are done, he's out of my life for good. James, as though he lost everything, every single thing. The moment I exposed him, his empire crumbled. His position as CEO gutted. Boards were now holding votes for a new CEO. And of course he fought it, saying, "It's my company." He screamed at the board meeting. But receipts don't lie, man. Fraud investigations don't either. Turns out, funneling money into an offshore account while framing your wife for financial crimes isn't a great business strategy. The SEC, the IRS, they're all very interested. Oh, his accounts? They're frozen. His assets obviously under scrutiny. And his future looking like orange jumpsuits in Prison Child. But wait, it gets better. Mia, my so-called best friend, bolted the moment James lost everything. The love of his life turned out to love money more. One minute she was flaunting their affair. The next she was gone. And she even twisted the narrative to pin all the blame on James. But how could I let it happen? Too bad I had plans for her too. I blacklisted her from the corporate world, making sure once she's out after serving prison time, she gets no job. She's not going to get a start in this life. No more flaunting her beauty around, getting rich guys hooked on her, and no more elite lifestyle, just isolation and disgrace. Anyways, I wasted years devoting my life to a man who never deserves me, trusting a friend who was a parasite. But now I'm free. Free to live my best life. And for anybody doubting their gut, trust it. If something feels off, it probably is. And when you find out, do not crumble.